You've been talking about this before there was, before there's lawsuits. What has been your perspective? Have you been on Monsanto, or are you more focused on FDA? Who's really the bad guy in this?
So I've been following these issues since 1998, since Reuters assigned me to start covering food and agriculture. Big business of GMO seeds and the pesticides used with them, glyphosate and Roundup. I've been tracking this and tracking the research and tracking the data that plays into human health impacts and environmental impacts, for 20 some years. And as you talk about, the FDA and the USDA are agencies that I've spent a lot of time, asking a lot of questions there about their residue testing. And one thing they're supposed to do is look at our food every year, test thousands of food samples to look at pesticide residues and to understand what levels we're finding. They actually did start a program, the FDA did, in 2016 to start doing some limited testing. They were under great criticism from the Government Accountability Office for not doing this testing.
Right.
And they started doing some testing, and what they were finding wasn't, very appetizing. They had a chemist, a very senior guy, who was finding a lot of this in oatmeal, baby products, baby foods that you would feed, young kids.
Developing brains, developing
immune
systems.
And he found it in honey at very high illegal levels in honey, and boom, program gets suspended. He gets pulled from any further pesticide glyphosate testing, and so that's where this story came from. Of course, we've heard Roundup, glyphosate is so very safe enough to drink, safer than table salt,
right.
Safe enough to be sprayed directly on oats before they're harvested so that their pesticide winds up in baby oatmeal. We've heard that for years, and it's just not true. We have been convinced that we need to have a pesticide-dependent food production system, and this benefits a handful of very powerful corporations who are selling, these chemicals that we're just drenching our farm fields with. It's not beneficial to human health, and it's certainly not sustainable by any means. The science shows us this is not a long-term solution. Glyphosate is also remarkable because it is so widely used. It represents about 25% of the herbicide market, most widely used in history. 123 million pounds in the 1990s, up to 1.8 billion pounds used now. It's in our drinking water.
All together or per year?
Global. This is
global.
Per year.
Wow.
This is per year. 123 million pounds a year to 1.8 billion pounds a year.
Wow.
And this is even found in rainwater, according to our U.S. Geological Survey, which is part of the Department of Interior. So it's in our food, it's in our bodies, and we're told by the companies and the regulators that they work very closely with that we shouldn't worry about this. But our independent scientists are telling us we need to worry about this, and we need to be engaged and informed. Every consumer out there, you're feeding these pesticides to your children every morning. A bowl of strawberries, according to our government data, typically can have residues of 20 different pesticides on it, including chlorpyrifos, which is our fourth most prevalent pesticide found on food, according to the FDA, which has been shown to be very demonstrably neurodevelopmentally damaging to children. It's been banned from household use. It's supposed to be banned from agricultural use, but Dow Chemical has argued to keep it on the market.
The problem, it seems to me, is that these regulatory agencies and our government, technically, it really has two jobs. One is to protect the health of the people, but it's also to keep commerce alive in America. And this issue seems to me to have really diabolical effects. It's going to be catastrophic for farmers. I mean, farmers, I think, are hanging in the balance here. What did they know? They were told these chemicals are safe. They were told to use them. We've seen the lawsuits by Monsanto against people trying to use organic seeds and all of those issues. Right. The farmers are caught in this. They've been using this product. But now what happens if suddenly you start testing food and finding out that everything's at an illegal level, or that any trace amount of glyphosate, now scientific studies are showing it's going to add up and be really bad for your health, as we're seeing. Our health outcomes in our kids, neurological disorders, autoimmune disorders, gut health. I mean, you have to think glyphosate's contributing to all the issues. Children now with intestinal problems. Yeah. If our government did its job, what happens to agriculture in America, and what happens to our food? All of the General Mills, Nabisco, these are billion-dollar companies. We make money exporting foods to the rest of the world. If we admit our food is contaminated, we destroy our entire food market.
Picture.
Do we not? Am I wrong though? Am I overstating
dark
it?
picture.
That's how our government, I think, looks at it. Like it's just going to be catastrophic. So we got to hide everything. We got to hide everything from the people. And I think that what it seems is important for us to let people know is your government, actually, your health is not the number one priority. The health of our economy is the number one priority. And if you don't take responsibility to start doing your own investigations and read and look into these things, you may find yourself in a really shocking, terrifying position with a very sick kid.
We need to have a healthier future, a healthier environment and food system for our kids. And the regulators and the lawmakers aren't going to make that happen. It's consumers, so you need to vote with your pocketbook, and you need to vote on these policies and make food policy, just as important as foreign policy, right? I mean, this is our future.
A new report finds popular breakfast foods and cereals marketed to children contain a weed-killing chemical.
31 out of 45 tested products had levels higher than what some scientists consider safe for children.
Those that contained the highest levels of glyphosates were Quaker old-fashioned oats, with levels higher than 1,000 parts per billion.
We want to trust that what is in the grocery store is safe, and the shocking reality is that in many cases it's not.
Did you know that an MIT study just found glyphosate in 14 childhood vaccines?
That I am not familiar with.
That is crazy.
That's horrible, really. I don't even know why they would put it in there.
Maybe people have to stand up and say we don't want this stuff.
Would you like the FDA to investigate glyphosate in vaccine?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Definitely. Definitely. Yes.
What if I told you they're refusing to investigate vaccine contamination?
That's crazy. Why?
I kind of wonder why.
I would say why.
I can't say I'm surprised. Saddened, but I'm not surprised.